I delivered a best bet winner on the Cavaliers in game number 1 a couple of nights ago. And then last night, right here in the video report, gave you a free play winner on Golden State. Game number 2 of the Cleveland-Toronto series going tonight. And again, I'm going to give you a free play selection because for the second straight day, I think the best bet is actually in baseball. Yesterday, it was my underdog game of the month with the Tigers. Instead of laying 150, 155 straight up with them on the money line, instead I opted to lay the 1.5 runs with them on the run line, took back $1.30 and cashed in as the Tigers and Verlander beat the Twins 6-3. And I'm going to do the same thing today. And once again, just like yesterday, it's going to be one of the featured discounted plays. Listen, yesterday I mentioned on the video report, and I'm going to get to your free selection in just a moment, that I didn't have time to go ahead and find the charity play of the recipient, courtesy of the latest winner from Chris Jordan, who really, you know, when you think about it, Monday I released the charity play of the week, and the game between Boston and Kansas City got postponed. Then they, of course, rescheduled it for Tuesday. Didn't change pitchers. And, you know, I always am a little superstitious when I have a play that gets rained out and the same pitchers are going the next day. Because I like them on a Monday doesn't necessarily mean I like them on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the Tuesday card, there's better options. But he insisted that he still loved the play. I rode with it. It was a free play as the charity play of the week. And it cashed in. The charity play of the week did for a 6th consecutive week and the 39th time in 61 weeks overall. So if you happen to be watching the video today on the site, all you've got to do is scroll down and you'll read the story about a young lady by the name of Monica West, who I believe resides in the New Hampshire area, perhaps, whose mother underwent lung surgery back on April 27th. She drove across country, gave up her job for a month because there's nobody else to take care of her mother. It's just her and her mother. Her father had passed away from cancer a few years ago. And of course, as I've always said about these situations, you know as well as I do that insurance does not foot all the bills. It's going to cover most of it if you have a good plan, but there's all the other things. Well, this girl says that her bills are probably going to be around 10 grand by the first of the month. So I thought, what a perfect opportunity to help somebody else in a time of need. So if you can make a donation sometime in the next few days, I would appreciate it, because that's the part of being part of the Charity Play of the Week program. And listen, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, preaching to them, should I say, because probably less than 20% of the people that get the play actually make a donation. Hey, the rest of you, I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't know how you look in the mirror. But, you know, karma is a real fickle thing, and it's a bitch when you don't have it in your side. So always keep that in mind. Now, in terms of all the other discounts, etc., you can get them over on the homepage, including the latest 100-dime release from Steve Budin's Cali Cartel. And think about the incredible run they have been on. Going back to early March, at the beginning of the big dance, it has just been an incredible run for them with the 100-dime major wager releases. As today they go for number 26 out of 37, and you've got in every single one of their 40 basketball plays this season, college and pro combined, at a discounted price. And the same thing goes today as I continue to show you that you don't have to spend big money to make big money. And if you haven't made big money, thanks to them, I don't know what you're waiting for. Listen, in terms of the playoffs, favorites are now 41-27-1 against the spread, thanks to the Warriors last night. 2-1 so far in the conference finals. The under is 40-28-1 so far in the postseason. Twice in 3 games, the under has cashed so far in the playoffs, with the Warriors staying under last night, being the latest one. Home teams, 4 games over 500 in round 1, 4 games over 500 in round 2. They're off to a 2-1 start versus the odds makers so far in round number 3. Now listen, let me talk about my pal, my friend, the guy I admire most, LeBron James, because really, I haven't bashed him in at least, 3-4 days? So I'm overdue. So before I go and end this video report, because, hey, I got to do the fun stuff today, like mow the lawn, let's talk about LeBron, who, of course, the latest thing that he's, I don't know, has a burr up his ass about is that don't assume the Cavaliers are a 3-point shooting team. Okay, we won't assume the Cavaliers are a 3-point shooting team. We'll just, you know, kind of discount the fact that they had 77 3-pointers in the 4-game sweep of the Hawks, that they're averaging 16.8 3-pointers made in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs through their consecutive 4-game sweeps of the Hawks and the Pistons, and that they're making, going into game number 1 of this series, 46.2% of those 3-point attempts, and over 50 of their points per game through the first 8 games of the playoffs, 50.4 to be exact, were courtesy of the 3-pointer. Yeah, we'll just ignore that fact. But let's not overlook the fact that it's all about what your opponent thinks you are that matters. Because by hitting the three-pointers, suddenly you're opening up space on the floor. And what Toronto did in game number one was they extended their defense and they tried to deny the Cavaliers on the perimeter. And consequently, in game number one, Cavaliers only hit 7 three-pointers in the contest. I think they were like 7 for 14, or no, 7 for 16 maybe. 7 for 20. 7 for 20. It was 35%. I remember it now. 7 for 20 in the first game. But by Toronto going outside, that opened up the lane for the Cavaliers. Kyrie Irving had 6 drives to the basket. And, of course, he had a great game in terms of scoring as well. Irving, played the most minutes of any starter because most of the guys were able to take the fourth quarter off. He played 30. Nobody else among the starting unit did play that much. And this is a team that was coming off a 9-day layoff anyway, coming into the game. Irving finished with 27 points and 5 assists. LeBron had 24 points. He went 11 for 13 from the field. And just about every single one of those shots was made and attempted from within 3 feet of the basket. Because, again, when you have a reputation for hitting outside, the inside is going to be open. That makes Kevin Love so much more dangerous, LeBron so much more dangerous, Irving opening up the lane for him to drive to the basket. Again, it doesn't matter what LeBron thinks. The fact is, it's what your opponents are devising a defense for in anticipation of what you are. And what you are right now is a deadly, accurate three-point shooting team. Now, as for the Raptors, I almost said the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays might have a better shot at winning this game here tonight. 115-84 was your final score in the opener. I mean, listen, Indians could beat the Raptors too, come to think of it. And I think the Indians, the way they're hitting the ball, they could beat the Blue Jays too if they happen to play this week. Listen, they were up by 5 at the end of one. They were up by 22 at halftime. They coasted from there. Most of the starters, as I said, not heavy-duty minutes. As for the Raptors, you live and die with your backcourt, and you died with them again because Kyle Lowry was awful, 4 for 14, 0 for 7 from three-point line. DeMar DeRozan, who's playing with a bad thumb on the shooting hand, 9 for 17, only 18 points. They don't have enough scores. They don't have the defense to be able to stop Cleveland. If you saw some of the post-game footage, you saw in the locker room that Dwayne Casey, the Toronto coach, was saying something to the effect of that, we weren't prepared for, or you got to be ready for their speed, their athleticism, they being, of course, the Cavaliers. You can talk the good game, but you're not going to be able to walk it because the Raptors just aren't in their class. I think that Cleveland tonight hammers them once more. It might be over in 4 games, maybe 5. Maybe Toronto steals one at home, but just not encouraged here. I find it interesting that in the 2 road games this season during the regular season, the Cavaliers lost by margins of 2 and 4 points. In the 2 home games this season, well, they blew them out in game number 1 of the series, and they won by 20 in the only regular season meeting in Cleveland as well. So I'm going to go with the Cavaliers tonight. That is going to be your free pick. I wish you well, guys, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.